A key factor leading to the formation of the United Nations was the deployment at the end of the Second World War of nuclear weapons. The perils of international conflict now potentially included the destruction of all life on the planet, something humanity had never previously faced. The two major world powers of the latter 20th century, the United States and the USSR, both had nuclear weapons and were at the start of an arms race to see who could develop the most destructive weapons the most quickly. In that environment, a treaty to prohibit all nuclear weapons all around the world was never a realistic option. The states which already had those weapons would never give them up. By the 1990s, though, the world had changed somewhat. The USSR had fallen apart, communism was failing across Europe, and the Cold War dynamics which had promoted nuclear weapons were no longer there. In that environment, the UN General Assembly asked the International Court of Justice for a non-binding advisory decision on the question, is the threat or use of nuclear weapons in any circumstances permitted under international law? The International Court of Justice found that there was neither treaty law nor customary international law which specifically made it unlawful to possess nuclear weapons or to threaten to use them, or even to use them. Instead, the use of nuclear weapons was regulated by all of the other rules for the use of force in war. In particular, the force must be proportionate to the military objective which was sought, and there must be distinction between lawful targets and other people such as civilians. The court acknowledged that in practice it was very difficult to imagine when nuclear weapons might be used lawfully, given their massive destructive power and the impossibility of excluding harm to civilians and other protected persons and places. The court said, methods and means of warfare which would preclude any distinction between civilian and military targets, or which would result in unnecessary suffering to combatants, are prohibited. In view of the unique characteristics of nuclear weapons, the use of such weapons in fact seems scarcely reconcilable with respect for such requirements. Still, the nature of international law is that it can be easily ignored by large, powerful nations, and so those nations have nuclear arsenals to this day.